Good morning. My name is Mike Balboni, and I am the chair of the new Cyber and Physical Security Committee for the New York Power Authority. I'd like to welcome the members of the committee, John Como, Jean Nicandri, and Tony Presenti. Tracy McGibbon is also on the committee, but she's excused from today. And I also like to welcome the NYPA staff members who are present. This is a scheduled committee meeting which has been duly noticed as required by the Open Meetings Law, and I'd like to call this regular meeting of the committee to order pursuant to Section B4 of the Cyber and Physical Security Committee Charter. I'd like to begin with the adoption of the agenda, and are there any amendments to that agenda?
I'm happy to, no amendments, happy to move the agenda.
So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. So the consent agenda, which is consists of routine housekeeping items, is now before the trustees for adoption. I would ask for a motion for the consent agenda.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. At this point, I'd like to ask Kenneth Carnes, the Chief Information Security Officer, to present on the security awareness and partnerships discussion of the committee.
Thank you. Trustees, Committee Chair Balboni, everyone else, thank you for joining. This morning I'm going to highlight some things about our security awareness program that was in a previous discussion, and obviously that's very timely and relevant given the continuous challenges with cybersecurity for the industry and with business in general. We are really focused on building out a program that helps our employees understand cybersecurity awareness, not just at work. So we've had an initiative this year, Be Cyber Safe. And that focus is really pushing it to not just them at work, but what they do in their home life practices. And actually the best quartile performers of security awareness actually are targeting all the way to the family, the children, the spouse, and others. Because ultimately, if we don't do this, but if we had just a password control only for entry into our network, then if that was compromised on somebody's home device via VPN, then that same access point could be used for an adversary to gain access. We use a added control in there with multi-factor to confirm that user credential is matching the person that we've given that access to. But that's definitely an entry point throughout the business with mobile devices, cloud usage, and all those services. We have to make sure people are vigilant and understand the threats. So we have an annual program. We focus it on the person quarterly. So we had a malicious insider focus this year. We had a security of intellectual property and protecting data, mobile device security, and we do regular focus on phishing and social engineering, which also includes our regular phishing assessments, which we'll talk more about. With those regular assessments, we break those down into monthly topics to help target the awareness to those categories. So if you look at the example of mobile device security in quarter 3, we're looking monthly through the quarter at work device security, personal device security, and secure use of social media. So trying to help target those various avenues in which an employee or family member may be targeted or be using technology that could be leveraged as an access or entry point or an intelligence gathering platform. So fourth quarter, we're focused on phishing and social engineering. So we obviously do a lot with phishing. That's a #1 target. That's an easy place to go. There's also vishing. Voice phishing. It's more of a social engineering attack, basically calling you and trying to elicit information from the phone call. And then really targeting on the social engineering, when usually, in most cases, if you say you can't do something or you have your list of policies or whatever, the bad guy ignores all that and doesn't really care, and they're going to leverage the person's abilities or trust to try to compromise them or gain information. So with that, the Cyber Safe program, we really try to integrate that into a cohesive message that is our NYPA Secure program, which is integrated with physical security and our resilience team led by Saul Rojas. Is there anything you'd like to highlight on?
Yeah, good morning, trustees. Yeah, thank you very much, KC. Earlier this year, we actually launched the Enterprise Resilience Program here at NYPA under the leadership of Gil Quinones and Joe Kessler. This is a journey that will build on a strong competency here at NYPA to ensure that NYPA is able to respond and bounce forward to expected and unexpected events, both on the physical security end and also on the cybersecurity end. This journey will basically take what's the traditional IT disaster recovery, business continuity processes, and crisis management to the next level. As we understand, the threat vectors in the world, especially in the utility industry, they're evolving. 10 years ago, we were not talking about drones. Now we're talking drones. So as we recognize this, therefore, we decided to launch the Enterprise Resilience Program in order to ensure NYPA is ready for these challenges in the future. Thank you, Casey.
Yeah, so if you remember, we launched NYPA Secure late last year in the focus of trying to kind of remove the term cyber, because when you say cyber, a lot of times people think, well, that's cybersecurity's job. But when we talk about secure or security, people tend to get that and understand that they have a role in it. And so we're really trying to help focus that to the part of the awareness. Just to give you some facts then, we not just do touch points, but we do internal FYIs, we do health safety events, we attend those 15 a year. We have 8 special events, things like specials or scary, spooky snacks with cyber that we do at Halloween, kind of scare people with cyber. And we have over 120 touch points that are possible for an employee in the year. So that's kind of how we...
Is there an expectation that all employees participate, or this is optional? Do you monitor? Is Big Brother watching to make sure everyone's engaged and involved?
Yes. We monitor the phishing assessments. We also constantly monitor the success of communications via the posters, via the news messages, via the programs and how people are getting it. The best metric we have is that people's reporting continues to go up. That means awareness is going up. So whether the targeted attack is very targeted to a certain business area or a broad area, no matter what, the reporting is increasing, which is the trend we want to see. And
you're getting the traction that you hoped for and wanted.
Absolutely.
Great.
And so the next thing I wanted to highlight is our last phishing assessment was kind of unique, and I want to highlight an individual because of their actions. So it was kind of a good thing. On the next slide, I'm going to highlight the right side moving left. So we did a regular assessment. So we did a holiday type assessment. We do an industry news. It was like a solar where we're trying to do like a simulation of a watering hole attack. That's an attack where basically you get an email that's not really malicious, but it takes you to a malicious website. So it's trying to get people just to follow that link and get you to something that can be malicious down this chain. The other thing that's kind of changed targeting-wise is what they'll do is they'll put up sites that are good, leave them good for a couple hours, and then they'll go make it malicious. And so that tries to bypass some of the security controls that some vendors have on monitoring those sites. They check it, it's good. The services and the functions that we use there continuously monitor that and help protect us in our email devices, whether you're on your phone or if you're in the company on your devices. So with this last assessment, though, it was a 2-phased assessment, and we hadn't done one of those yet. So it was basically a feeder, a hook, and then came the malware later with the full bait to really get people to click. And the first message came in, and it was basically telling employees that you're going to have to make an update to your direct deposit. So that came in at 7 a.m., regular work day. We don't tell very many people when these are coming. So our senior manager of payroll saw this email and obviously knew she hadn't sent it and responded almost immediately, very quickly, within minutes, and blasted an email to the entire company saying, do not click this message, it's a phish. And by that action, also, others took unilateral actions, like on our email team, our firewall team, and others, to totally block phase 2. So the 8 o'clock payload that was supposed to come in to say, here's what you got to click to update your details, never even got in.
So you got shut down before you got started.
Yeah, so we did. We totally got shut down. So I think what's really great about it is Vera Pipiano. She just did that.
You want a free fishing trip somewhere? Got a boat? You give her a boat, and whatever.
Go on the river. Right?
Canal. She can go to the canal fishing anytime. Got a season's pass to the canal.
Trustee
Free fishing.
will underwrite that.
Right.
A lot of openings.
So I really just thank her. That's a great example.
Did you remotely contemplate that outcome?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm. So this really was.
No, that was we usually intend that we design them well enough that they usually happen.
Right.
And then we get some percentage of rate, and then we can train to that and develop. You know, the challenge with phishing assessments and things like that for individuals is nobody comes to work during the day and wants to be like tricked. So it's balancing that, building the awareness and not making somebody feel duped that they don't want to say, I learned something, right? You want them to learn. And that's the ultimate goal of the program. And I think her response to that just set a good conversation throughout the business. It set a great example of how we want employees to take security.
That's fantastic.
You know. And so I just really wanted to thank her and bring her here for that, because it was great. It was a good activity. So we will be more malicious in our future assessments.
You guys definitely got to be more creative, Casey. I mean,
I know.
Got my first cup of coffee.
the team's onto you, you know. So
that was really good.
gotta hire this guy from Cap One. He's going to be in need of work. I mean, you know. So
Any other questions on the program at this point? Okay. So I'm going to move into, if you're aware, on July 1st, Governor Cuomo announced a series of developments and partnerships with Israel. I wanted to just kind of highlight a couple of things that we're partnering on there. So we have two firms, actually three, that we're partnering with in various ways, and one of them is really unique. It's called SIGA-SEC, or SIGA OT technology. They have a technology where they're very level 0. So they're putting in cyber controls, just like we would monitoring network logs or whatever, out of band from the network, but at an electrical signal level. So it's an analog signal outside of pre-digital. So it's before the SCADA system even digitizes the information, and it gives a way to monitor and see, like in a Stuxnet type event, where they're faking the human-machine interface to the operator. It would actually be able to see and detect that that's not true, and people would be able to have that awareness, and it has some advanced analytics and stuff. So we're testing that. They were here yesterday and today deploying it in our Agile lab for us to pilot that and test that technology and what capabilities it could actually give us from a cyber perspective, because it's so far down the stack from where we operate today in cyber that it might actually give us capabilities to change how we do controls up here, to focus at this really deep level, and then give us more capability to move our funding where we want, right? To better monitor and see the entire network stack, all the way from, you know, this pre-digital analog all the way to the cloud. Obviously, OT operations are segmented, and the OT operations in our program, security awareness-wise, are included as part of all of our work with the security awareness program. That's an interesting technology. Another opportunity is this group called CyberGym. They were sponsored by the Israeli electric company. They have a location in New York City. We actually sent some staff down there for some training with some partnerships with some other utilities. It's really focused at training incident response at the operational technology, or in a sub type capability, different than what we do normally in a business sense. So really diving into that deep technology and capability skill set. So that's building employee skill set and capabilities. And so we had some staff attend that. The other technology that's unique is this group, CYOT. They have kind of a Wi-Fi. So if you think of the Internet of Things or the Industrial Internet of Things, all these things are connecting via Wi-Fi. So you take a TV or a stereo, whatever, anything that's got Wi-Fi in it today, if you have physical access to it, you know, I could connect it to the Wi-Fi on my phone and bypass, you know, internal networks and things like that. So this actually gives you a way to monitor for that and stop it. So internal devices that aren't authorized to go on any network but ours can only go there. So you can't take it off, infect it, and then let it go back. So it actually removes added capabilities and reduces the attack vectors in which we, you know, have. So interesting technologies, interesting partnerships. So we're going to continue to build those out and test those things and determine how they fit into our cyber strategy long term. We also hosted at NYPA the Idaho National Labs Cyber Strike Training. We had over 50 individuals attend that here, and that was in partnership with New York State Homeland Security and others. And we were able to, that training is focused on the Ukraine event. So training the responders how to respond like the Ukraine event, and they actually got, tactical devices on their desk that had an OT system, and they could actually run, cyber attacks and commands and do things to try to shut that down, and then see how that impacts it and how would they respond. Again, trying to build those capabilities and skill sets of staff. We're also developing a partnership with the New York National Guard. NYPA is leading that effort as a state authority. We have a great opportunity to partner with them with their cyber protection teams, and being able to build in a standard and a model in which we can build a model for the industry that we can leverage that capability for a bad black sky, bad day event type thing, where they could come in and augment or support recovery capabilities. So that was something that, we continue to partner in. If you remember, we went to Plum Island in the past supporting DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects program called RADIX. That program, we've been there and supporting that, and that is a good program to really stretch the mind thought of day-to-day business and go, what do you do in these extreme cases where, it assumes a really bad day event. But the great thing is again, it's building that training and that stat team capability to respond and how to recover in a really bad day cyber attack against anything critical infrastructure. So those are some of the highlights of partnerships that we continue to build on beyond all of our R&D work and things with Department of Energy and some of those things we can't discuss in public, but the rest of them, I think we're continuing to build.
Yeah, perfect.
Just a couple of quick comments. So Vera, in her story, underscores the fact that cybersecurity is a team event. A lot of times people look at it as cyber is your own responsibility, and if I click on the wrong thing, I've jeopardized everything. It's about people who have a responsibility to look at their operating networks and then take that proactive stance. And so that's why it's so incredibly important. The second thing is that it's about the leadership. And Rob and Casey they're very, very impressive in terms of their interest, their talent, their experience. But then it also has the buy-in from the top. And, we are very fortunate to have Gil, who, in addition to all the other things he does, is a real expert on cyber. He really understands the in and outs. And one of the things that I also really appreciate is the fact that this is an agency, an authority that really values type of partnership. 9 months ago, Casey and I went to Israel, and we saw these technologies in place. And it was really a great idea to bring them in. Obviously, the governor applauds that, wants to take that in a direction. And the last piece is that, a lot of times we talk about cybersecurity. It's kind of this concept out there. Well, all you need to do is take a look at the missile map. It's a depiction of the threats that are coming across the globe try to get into NYPA, try to get into New York State. And it is like the War Games, remember that movie War Games? Well, it's that type of line to come in, all from Asia, and it's constantly trying to hit us. And so the work that these men and women are doing on a day-to-day basis, the leveraging of the technology and the interest across the country, it's just very impressive, and it's what we need to be doing continuously. So I'm very pleased at the work these guys are doing.
You forgot to give the Cyber Savvy board kudos. If you're handing out kudos and platitudes, I thought you were going to just, and lastly, the board.
And lastly, the board has been fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the chairman of the board.
Yeah, no question. I was waiting for that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's duly noted in the minutes.
Forgive me. Forgive me. All right.
No, well, agree completely. I think it's great. And frankly, I think it's wonderful. Vera felt empowered enough that she, didn't have to go up the food chain, didn't have to ask, boom, just no. It's my job, it's my responsibility, and I'm comfortable taking action. I think that speaks volumes in and of itself, whatever it is. So again, Vera, kudos for all that. Casey and your team, Rob, great work, setting the tone in a very positive and constructive way. And yeah, it said it's in our face every day. I went to bed last night, the Cap One story, all the rest of that, just filled up my form to get my $125 on the Equifax settlement. I was one of those impacted, that kind of thing. So it's there every day for, all of us to deal with and encounter.
Very good. All right. So any other comments from the board?
Question. Have we reached the point, are the attacks too numerous that we haven't yet reached the point that we need to be, or maybe we are, concerned about actor being put in place to do something bad on command down the road?
So with that, public-wise, I can state that, we're aware of that continual threat of an insider and or any other, malicious intent. So we have programs to monitor, user behavioral things, monitor, aberrant behavior of individuals. All those things are in place because that's part of a standard security program required to understand that people are working within their authorizations and approval levels and making sure that those things are monitored. So yes, we do have that capability and visibility, and we leverage that to keep a close eye. But yeah, the volume, we only log what we allow, right? So we throw away 99% of everything. Well, the 99% is like 100 million. I mean, it's just ridiculous in a day. What we see is the number that Gil's always talking about, the couple million per hour is the normal, volumes. And so with that, we use a lot of automation and a lot of capabilities, and we're pushing, if you remember from the last time we talked, moving up that cyber sliding scale from, kind of the passive things to more proactive to all the way to the intelligence capabilities where we're generating those indicators of compromise for the industry. So that's where we're pushing.
Just highlight what Casey said. To think about it, there are 2 to 3 million attempts per hour to open our front door. So that's the kind of threat that utilities, not just NYPA, utilities in general, and that's why this is a journey. We gotta keep getting better, and because the opposition, the bad guys are always gonna try and get better. So it's a continuous process.
I would just ask the other, we had recently a disgruntled employee who had left government and was actually in the technology division, who was let go, but then waited about 6 months and then entered into our system via a
Backdoor?
healthcare system. It was where his girlfriend had worked. Through that came into ours actually and hacked in, and it took us numerous subpoenas because to get to the IP addresses and to get to the spectrum and all the other networks that he was going to until we found him. So I just want, I just throw that out there as one of the areas that we we're looking at all these outside influences.
Yeah.
And this was an employee who had left, but, and we thought it was done because it was, not that he left and then immediately came back. He waited a period of time and, and sent and got into our emails and had sent me, my chief of staff, an email saying that this director had resigned, that the director that had fired him was resigning. I mean, it was just really crazy stuff, but that they got into all these nooks and crannies of all of the network intricacies that, that we didn't know where it was coming from. He was sending faxes. It was ingenious, I guess. When you look at the capability of what can be done with the system.
We didn't apply himself that well on the job.
No, he didn't. That was why he was gone.
Right. Sounds like he's got a lot of potential.
He's doing jail time right now because of the. We just adjudicated. It was just settled or whatever. But
Yeah.
it wasn't what we had. It was one of those areas that in dealing with cyber and all the other pieces we hadn't seen coming, but obviously it's possible.
Yeah.
In way, shape, or form.
Well, I'm going to let Sal
Just a quick
highlight something.
tidbit, Trustee Pichenti, that risk does exist. I mean, it's something that the industry has recognized. Therefore, there's a NERC regulatory standard that basically monitors that kind of threat. If we had an employee who has left for any particular reason, we do have a process to basically cut their access to the most critical systems within basically immediately 24 hours is what NERC gives you. That threat is also recognized for contractors. So NERC has also put a regulation there forward where we are adhering to where if you have a contractor who has access to your systems and the contractor's let go for whatever reason, then the contractor has to notify us and then we do the action of removing access to them. So, but depends on processes. So it is a threat that we monitor.
vendor management continues to be one of the key areas of concern besides insider threat. And a lot of things that they've done, concept called micro segmentation has really provided another capability that didn't exist before. And this group has been so far advanced on that, because energy sector is continuing to be the target in the United States itself. So, yes.
I was going to move for adjournment.
There are no votes necessary for this item, so the next meeting will be determined, and we don't have a date yet. And so without anything further, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.